Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckin Around Kickstarter Edition. Today, we're going to be taking a look at any decks that have funded in the past 7 days, any decks that are new to Kickstarter in the past week, and any decks that will be ending their round of funding in the upcoming 7 days. But before we jump into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And Tyler, ring the bell.
I already rang the bell, but all you all out there, you better ring the bell as well. So, I have to say, we're back up to a little bit of an average number of decks this week. I think we have 12 new decks.
Hummingbird
so
Feathers
it's exciting to
mimics
see
the
that
shimmer
now we're
of
into the new
hummingbird
year.
emotion.
Things are kind of picking up a little bit.
Meticulously created with a specialized printing process
Hopefully,
using
we'll hit that
multiple
20 mark
holographic
again soon.
foils.
I mean,
Stunning tuck design.
hopefully
and
yes, but
sculpted
hopefully not
embossing with
consistently.
master
We don't need
letterpress
80 new
creation.
decks a month.
Featuring limited standard
Yeah, I
and
totally
gilded
agree.
3 deck
So
sets.
let's check it out.
Pre-order
Let's give a little
yours today
congratulations
at
to the decks that have funded this
marvelousdecks.com.
week. First up, congratulations to the balloon playing cards, the BPC prototypes. That was it for this week. So,
Wow.
ending in the next 7 days, we have the fractured playing cards, which have already funded. So, congrats on that, guys. See if we can get that a little bit more of a lift there. Next up, we have the American deck playing cards, the craft playing cards, the fair play playing cards, the
Which have already funded.
Yep. The flexible 2.0 playing cards color gradients from G&G. The Kata's Almanac number 3 transformation playing cards reproduction. And that's it for ending this week.
Dang.
Hey, dude, we got some. I gotta say, it's a small amount of decks that funded this week, and there's a small amount of decks ending this week. If you're on any of those, I'm sure they're going to be a good one. So it looks like a lot of people funded this upcoming week, which is awesome.
Nice.
Right, so let's check out our first deck here. We have Double Bluff Darts playing cards from Steven Richardson. So
Stevert.
So this is actually a combination deck, which I absolutely love seeing these decks where it's kind of like an all-in-one Swiss Army knife kind of deck of cards based around darts, but also allowing you to play, you know, poker and things like that and other variants of games, which is really cool. We have a video of the deck here. Jumps into the story. Each card in the deck represents a unique area of the board, and it's this factor that allows for new variants of poker and bridge to be played, whereby you'll also need your darts and a dartboard. Very cool. Solid story. Printing and fulfillment will be handled by UK company Ivory Graphics. Cool. We've actually played around a little bit with the Ivory Graphics card. I definitely think they're suitable for something that's like a non-traditional playing card deck.
Yeah, and we checked these out, got a feel for them, and yeah, they're definitely, for something like this, definitely usable.
So you do have a one-way back design here, but I have to say,
Yeah.
I love the vibe of how much darts come into it, you know, with that central circular element. You have the people playing darts in the top and the bottom. You have the dartboard in the middle, which just looks awesome, like really nicely done. And I guess this is a maybe a stretch goal or a second variation there with the yellow and tan. This tuck box, very vibrant. I feel like this is definitely, like, you can tell this is like a game. It's made for it. It's very eye-catching, very fun. Let's see what we got here. Nice layout of the tuck.
That's the green edition.
So I would say for the aces, like a bigger picture would be helpful. Same with the kings.
Yeah.
They're a little small. And obviously there's a lot going on here. I think if you want to show the cards off, doing, you know, something without all of the clutter in the background will really help you focus on the cards. There's a lot going on in that, and it's a very cool kind of marketing-esque picture, but it draws your eye away from the kings.
Yeah, I think,
here.
like something like this, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This queen's
definitely
picture.
zooming in on that and taking out some of that confusion will definitely put more attention on the cards.
Absolutely. Same with the jacks, perfect. Got the pips there. So it's really cool too. They have the custom pips with like a person throwing a dart inside of them.
Yeah. I know nothing about dots.
I know how to play like 301. That's about it.
Yeah.
Like, I like darts. We used to play darts a lot, but I'm not great. Moderately okay.
Yeah. The only dots I played was dodging dots for my friend in his backyard.
Yeah.
I got it stuck right in my arm, and we stopped playing dots after that.
Oh my god. Let's see. If the campaign reaches 150% funded, new reward tiers will be unlocked, allowing access to our superior quality decks. Available in both 19s and 20s. They will be printed on Ivy Graphics exclusive Sure Slip cardstock. Sure Slip has been described by some experts of cardistry to rival the air cushion made famous by Bicycle. Cool. So the one thing I will have to say, I want to say here too, is I think, you touch on the fulfillment, you touch on the printing. I would mention I don't know if Ivory has a name for their other stock, but something along those lines would be helpful, just giving as much information about the stock as you can. So let's see what we got here. I think that there's 4 Jokers. They're obviously recolors of similar Jokers, but they also have different numbers around the outside. And again, this is, I'm assuming, oriented to the game, which I'm not exactly sure of the rules on. But that's cool that the Jokers are not themselves all the same, and they're actually meant to be used throughout the game as well. And it's got the risks and challenges there. So let's see what we're looking at for a deck of cards. One standard deck is $19 shipped. Printed on 3SM. So it actually mentions the 3SM 310 GSM cardstock in the tier. I definitely think that would be helpful to put in the campaign itself, so it doesn't have to be repeated through each tier. Yeah, I mean, I think for something that's kind of an all-in-one game, $19 isn't bad. It's a little higher than what we would usually expect to see. I think there's other decks out there that kind of have multiple games built into them that are closer to like that 18-ish, maybe 16 to 19 is not a bad range. I think this is on the higher end of it. Trying to bring it down a little bit wouldn't hurt, but 19 for something that's going to give you a lot more games is cool. The one thing I would say too, because this is more oriented towards the underlying game of double bluff versus the just being a poker deck, is talk about some of the games, what they actually are, how they maybe work, give a little bit of a sneak peek, maybe even show someone playing with them. That might tie it a little bit more to being a game deck versus a deck of cards.
Yeah. Now go all the way up. That's a video up top, right?
Yes.
I wonder if they show in the video that playing or
we can look
something. See, now that's a cool shot.
So yeah,
right there. That's a cool shot. So
no, it's more marketing oriented. It does talk about the 10 games you can play.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but I think being able to actually like maybe break it down a little bit.
That image would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, pulling this out to put down here somewhere would be helpful, but also talking a little bit about how you can play them might be helpful as well, just to add a little more kind of connection with the deck itself. But yeah. Very cool idea. Steve, good luck. Next up, we have the Dust Bunny Mafia poker playing cards. All right. Poker size playing cards based on Dust Bunny Mafia comic strip. Play like your family. Cool. Bunny ties in the story, ties it to the comic, talks about how, when I think of mobsters, I think of gambling. Perfect tagline for it. A lot of the comic there, introducing Dust Bunny Mafia playing cards. Relatively simple tuck, not bad looking. It has some good visuals of it all around, though.
Right.
Interesting idea for the large central pip on all the decks, and then just relying on the corner indices and pips for knowing which card it is. Maybe not ideal, but not bad. Different variation.
Yeah, it's cool.
Let's see what we got here. For the funding goal of $3,000 below the card specs, that's going to be an expensive deck. I just realized that. They're only making $3,000 goal. It's like $30 a deck.
Yeah, that's crazy.
$20 shipped. That's a little pricey for what this is, I think, ultimately. But again,
then it doesn't look like they're limiting it, though. You can get deck of DBM playing cards. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
Oh, there's 100 signed ones. That's what it is.
Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah, right there it says 20. Yeah, 25. Okay, and it's the actual creator of the Dust Bunny comic as well, who's doing this campaign, which is cool.
Yeah. S30 standard smooth card stock, 55 cards, print type, full color print, finish, MPC, great. So MPC's printing. All right. The one thing I would consider then in that case is doing the signed ones with MPC and potentially like as a prototype run, and then at a 3,000 goal, you're almost starting to push into USPCC territory. If there's enough of a backing there, a stretch goal for this may be printing on, you know, bicycle standard stock or something. Something to consider there.
Yeah.
Or Mobimal here. I'm not exactly sure what a Mobimal is, but Mobster Animal. Okay.
Oh, it's a commission card, so you
Nice.
can put whatever one you want.
Nice.
Interesting.
I dig the I dig the premise behind it. I like seeing a lot of other kind of areas come into the playing card to make kind of a marketing push for it. It's not someone who's necessarily in playing cards, so you won't find a lot of the details that you would normally see, like who's fulfilling, who's printing, things like that, in the clear and concise way we would expect. But I do love seeing these little like forays into playing cards. And I like the fact that bringing from another aspect of Kickstarter, they're using the pie chart to show where the funding goals will actually go.
Yeah.
Interesting. Nice. Yeah, no, it looks good. They show everything they need to. Again, being a first-time creator into it, I think, you know, having a stretch goal related to, it was literally just all the tiers.
Yeah, looks like
so.
Is that a crocheted hat or a crocheted dust bunny?
They're crocheted dust bunnies. I think that's really cool, and I think it's good to visualize that. I think it could have been done in a little bit more of a concise way, though, because running through all the tiers like this ends up taking up a lot of space.
Yeah.
It almost doubles the size of the campaign, which is interesting. I do like those little crochet dudes. Like this guy here is funny.
It looks like it reminds me of Angry Birds.
A little bit, yeah. Like I like that. I like that, though.
It's fun.
Mentioning who's going to be shipping as well, which I'm assuming it's probably self-fulfilled, but having an idea with that is a great way to, you know, mentioning who's going to be doing that's important.
Photos on the page are physical proofs, not just mock-ups.
Nice.
So I can attest to the quality of the cards. Nice. How much are we looking at here?
$20 shipped. So again, a little bit high. A little bit high.
Yeah.
To me, $15 would be a better price point for this. You know, if you factor in the fact that it's probably $5 shipping, it's a $15 deck with $5 shipping. In my book, this is probably closer to a $10 deck with $5 shipping. And an unlimited print run with MPC, that's probably a feasible price point depending on how many backers he gets. But it's an interesting concept. And I think for anyone who's a fan of his work is probably going to be the ones he's targeting to back this.
Yeah, I think $17 on this shipped is a decent price for fans of this deck for sure.
Yeah. Good luck, Brett.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Fire and Ice playing cards. Custom Fire and Ice themed deck of playing cards printed by USPCC. Interesting, all one-way back designs.
Yep.
It's an interesting design, though. I dig dragons, so I can't really complain about that there. The full bleed on the front is always a little bit of concern for people who use the decks just because it's likely to chip. But
and on the back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's check this out here. So gold looks reasonable for a single deck.
That looks gilded.
I think it might just be the way the render was done. It does kind of, there is a bit of a shine on it, but I wonder if that's just the way the render was done. Let's dive in and see.
Yeah.
I've been collecting playing cards for years, so I decided to make a deck myself. I chose the theme Fire and Ice because of the vibrant colors and sleek design. Every card face keeps the standard playing card design with incorporated Fire and Ice theme. So, looks like, okay, interesting. Interesting take on it.
Fulfilled by Gamblers, printed by USPCC.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hearts and Diamonds have the Fire theme, with the Spades and Clubs have an Ice theme. Cool. Cool. 54 cards, 52 plus 2 Jokers. Original Fire and Ice theme tuck box. Very small, like reduced size courts, which is an interesting take on it.
Yeah.
Good visual on the cards, though. I would like to see all of the cards, in spite of the fact that I know it said that they're kind of standard. It would be interesting to see how this style translated to all of the courts and what the numbers cards actually look like, because you kind of see a hint of the 10 there, but not all the way. The one thing it's curious to me about those, this render shows the indice as red on the red cards, but this render shows it as black on the red card. So I'd be curious to see what the actual final render of the number cards looks like as well. I think for most campaigns where you're putting out a deck of cards, no matter if you're using a standard deck or not, like for faces and courts, it's worthwhile to show all of the courts and all of the number cards. Just confirm what people are expecting. Because you want to make sure that people are going to back this and not get something different than what they're expecting. You can easily manage that expectation by always just defaulting to including all of the courts. Or if you're going to do a standard deck, one picture that shows everything kind of like an uncut sheet is sufficient as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think, standard quartz obviously show, 4 to 6 of the quartz, just to show if there's any different colors that you added or anything like that. For the number cards, what I've seen is, and I always think looks cool, is just a variation of the numbers where you have maybe a 2, 5, a 7, and a 9, right? Or, kind of give you the idea of what each suit looks like with numbers,
Price point,
but definitely I agree with you. Throwing some more images up there of the number cards is important.
I mean, any images of the number cards.
Yeah, for sure.
Because also, as much as these are, standard number cards, these courts are definitely like custom. They're, stylized, but they're custom still. So having them there would be helpful. $17 ship for the deck. Not a bad price point for a fully custom deck for all intents and purposes. And especially if this is your style, like, it's worthwhile to check it out. The other thing I just noticed too is that it mentions the original Fire and Ice themed tuck box. The only image though we have of the tuck is right here. So including an image of the tuck as well, front, back, and sides, is super important. Because it does look like there's some style to this. I see some blue, I see some red with the fire on the back. I'd want to know what the tuck looks like as a whole. And I think that's a big selling point for a lot of people too.
Yeah.
So
it's the first thing you see when you grab a deck.
Yeah, so good luck, Bennett. Definitely some potential on this deck. I think it may need a little bit of tweaking just on the campaign to get some more funding behind it. But it looks like you have some all right momentum starting out. So good luck, man. Next up, we have the Compass playing cards. Check this out. So yeah, I see a little bit of gold foil there.
I think is that gold or silver?
It looks
I think
gold.
It's gold, yeah. I dig this back design, man.
I do too. It's funny because it's relatively simple, but at the same time, it's very appealing.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely. This is these two colors together are really nice. I mean, I don't even know what color you would call that. Slate or something?
It's like a kind of a robin's egg blue with a little bit of like slate mixed in,
Bro, robin's egg blue. Blue. That's spot on.
Yeah, like with a little bit of gray mixed into it to darken it up a little and add that little bit of a slate look to it. Yeah, it's not bad looking though. Custom luxury deck of cards designed for magicians, collectors, and cardists. Printed by USPCC, fulfilled by gamblers. So the one thing I would say in this one is I would actually just pull out I would leave custom luxury deck of playing cards. I would scrap the design for magician, collectors, and cardists at least in the top part here and get the subtitle on one line. Printed by USPCC, fulfilled by Gamblers Warehouse. Perfect in the subtitle there. Let's see what we got here.
I'm almost at the point where I don't want to see who it's built for yet. I just don't want to even see that on any campaign because I think
it limits
depending
you.
on. Yeah, exactly. It limits you, and half the time it's not even right.
Yeah.
So I think not even putting that on there and just, I'm a collector, I'm a cardist, I'm a magician. I know what the deck is good for, and I'm going to buy it based on that.
And at the end of the day,
putting that in there is
and I think at the end of the day too, you end up, if someone's a collector only and they see, oh, this is designed for cardists and magicians, you're making up their mind for them. You want to make up their mind for them in a positive way. So by leaving it out there, you leave them to decide whether or not they like the deck.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other subtle way to potentially do that is through pictures and text being like, look how great this looks in doing the worm, or look how easy it is to, do X, Y, and Z because of this for magic. Like actually selling those aspects instead of just saying it.
Yeah, for sure.
That being said, let's dive into the deck. Welcome to Compass Playing Cards. Thank you for visiting my Kickstarter for Compass Playing Cards campaign. I'll be working with Gamblers Warehouse to take care of fulfillment for the rewards. All right.
Nice.
Story. Back in 2016, I started designing custom playing cards project to marry my two greatest passions, playing card and graphic design. Cool. Printed by USPCC, linen crushed stock paper, metallic ink, custom tuck box, custom stamp. Nice. It touches on all the points. So the one thing I will say then, knowing that this is custom, that this is metallic ink on the cards, is it's not going to shimmer like that. Like, I get why the render was done up like that. It's going to have a gold, kind of speckle to it. More like this card here. I think this is actually a perfect rendition of what the metallic would look like. But yeah, it's not going to have that foil look to it. Inspired by classic playing card design, I started by researching old compass rows and finding minimalistic design that accented the back. Nicely done. Recolored quartz look really nice. I like the fact that they're very vibrant. Interesting choice to like black out parts of it too, because it really makes it pop a lot more, especially on a red suited card.
And here, here's a good example of what we were talking about in that last campaign. Is there's a Jack, Queen, and a King that kind of shows you, they're colorized differently, but standard jokers. I mean, standard core cards.
Yeah, I dig those jokers. And actually, this render here also does a better job depicting what the metallic ink is going to look like, or closer to, than having that shimmer to it. Nice. Impossible bottles.
Handmade leather case.
Interesting. And gliders. I think these are going to be dope-looking gliders. I like those.
Yeah, now Cedric is definitely in with the glider crew. And oh, man, such amazing trainers.
So yeah, I'd say the other part to include here with the cards in general would be, like we said, just a quick picture of the number cards. Nothing too crazy there, but something just to show it as well. You get little hints here and there, but it's worth showing all the way through. Yep. So in this right here shows a perfect, this shows perfect. Hey, this is how you could use it and what it looks like in cardistry without having to say this is created for cardists. Let the campaign sell that aspect of it itself, because you've now put an assertion out there that people are either going to naturally agree with or disagree with. Whereas if you let them come to that conclusion themselves, they're more likely to agree with it. First prototypes. I think it's cool that he shows the progression here as well. It really shows all the work that went into it. Perfect use of the logos there. Nice. Look at that. We got a little shout out to Steve there.
Oh, will you look at that, buddy?
Nicely done. Now this looks really, really awesome. See, and the funny thing about it though, the one area, like seeing it with foil, I would have loved to see this with a foil back on it. And again, that's personal preference to it, but that would have popped crazy. Let's see where we're at.
Maybe a stretch goal.
Price point. We are at 17 shipped. I think that's dead on. Nice. I think that's a perfect price point for this. Makes it attainable. Nice. Good luck. Your card legacy, aka Cedric.
12,000 goals, a little high.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I guess it depends on what the print run's going to be. Crush stock, so 2,500.
Oh, it says crush. Yeah.
So 2,500, that's a little more reasonable.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you figure crushed plus shipping gets you to about 12. So, yeah, that makes it a little more reasonable. So that being said, it would have been good also to point out there real quick, just like, minimum print run of 2,500, just so that people know what the print run's going to be. But I think this campaign looks good. Good luck, Cedric. Looking forward to seeing this fun, man. Next up, we have the Flexible 2.0 playing cards, colored gradients, which are already going to be closing out in 6 days. So you guys better jump on this quick if you're interested. Let's see what we got here.
This is a cheap deck of cards. That's all I could say. Like, great deck of cards, but cheap in cost. Awesome.
Yeah. Explore the mesmerizing gradient color change when you perform your cardistry. So geared towards cardists, no surprise there. It really is. I love gradient decks. I wish it kind of went through the full spectrum, or that they have plans to bring out the full spectrum, because I like the idea that, like, they started out with the warm colors, the reds, oranges, and yellows there, but I'd love to see those blues and greens. That's where I would be jumping on this.
Those would be my favorite too. Dude, $2.59.
Yeah. Steve's so excited. He's jumping ahead to the price point already.
No, it says it right up there. Go up. If you go up, it's right there.
Damn, yeah. As low as. And that's obviously a quantity thing. So the standard price point for it is about $3. So $6 or $9 shipped, which is crazy for a single deck. So as you buy more, the price point does go down, though.
And I believe it does. Comes from overseas as
Yeah,
well.
it's coming from,
So
I believe they're being printed in Taiwan.
Taiwan.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
shipping from Hong Kong. So
Crazy.
when it talks a little bit about the original, the flexibles, which I think is great. If you have a legacy or a background to leverage to bring visibility to your campaign, that's a great way to do it. You know, don't leave out your past successes in your new campaign. It helps drive it.
Totally agree.
I love the look of this. It looks so good.
Dude, and the different tuck boxes is dope.
Yeah. No, it really is. Standard poker size. This is the one thing that always kind of gets me here is like, I think in the community, like, we know what a poker size and a bridge size deck of cards looks like size-wise. We may not know the exact dimensions. I feel like you never need to include the dimensions. Just my personal opinion on that one. Thin crushed stock, air cushion finish, printed in Taiwan. Now this is going to be nice. I do want to see, there we go. This is what I want to see, the face of the cards. I'm hoping that they show the face of the cards a little bit more laid out versus just in motion. Well, again, I know this is very much oriented towards cardistry, so showing this is important. Also, this is a deck that I think collectors who want to get into playing with their cards might be interested in as well. Yeah, I would have, oh, look at that. Add-on flexible
Add-ons,
blue.
amazing.
Yeah. Nice.
There you go.
I would definitely like to see the faces of the cards themselves because, like, you can see all the fanning elements, and look at that, there's a custom ace of spades, but they don't really show it off anywhere. Like, it shows off a little bit here. Even if your ace of spades is the only thing being shown off, that's cool. Like, let's check it out. Like, I would love to see it. I think this is a very well laid out campaign. Let's see.
Yeah.
But like I said, more of the number cards to see the fanning elements, more of the face cards and all that, just to get a feel for it would have been helpful. Look at this, though. Brick of cards shipped $54. $54.
So good.
3 bricks of cards shipped $155. This goes to show what a price point for a deck of cards can look like. Like, and granted, this is an extreme. I don't think all cards out there should be $3.
I mean, we can't go by this campaign, that's for sure.
Let's be honest, though. They're not doing this for free. There's the potential to make some money on this. If you're looking for a deck of cards and your biggest concern is the price point and you're always like, oh my God, it costs too much money to print a deck of cards, realize there are inexpensive printers out there who actually handle well. A lot of printers out of Taiwan handle great, feel great, look great, and are a lot less expensive. It's just that there isn't always the name recognition with Cardamundi and USPCC. So something to consider if you're trying to get into designing a deck of cards is you don't always need to default to USPCC and Cardamundi. Make sure to check out other printers. I mean, great example, look at Jaspa's. We have no idea who he prints with, and all of his printers are usually different between each deck or each couple of decks. So he experiments a lot, and people love those decks, and they feel great. So something to consider. But this is a dope campaign. A couple more days on this, so anyone who's interested in getting into it, definitely jump on it. About $700 shy. I'm sure they'll hit that, though. So good luck, Flexible 2.0 playing cards. Next up, we got the Sigils of Paragon Make 100 Limited Linen playing cards. So from Tim Olinger. This guy drops cards like crazy. I feel like we saw this not too long ago. I feel like we looked at this. Is this a relaunch?
Just 32 created.
He rolls out a lot of decks. He rolls out a lot of decks. Oh, yeah.
Dude, he canceled twice, 3 times.
Interesting. All in the past, like, 3 weeks, though. So something fundamental must have changed. What?
Oh, yeah, no, I just wanted to... Okay.
Yeah, so all within the past week or so. So something fundamental must have changed in the campaign that he wasn't able to change once it was live. It's not a bad sign to see that. It just, again... This is where, you know, having a second set of eyes to look at things maybe comes in handy. It probably was tier related that he had to change because, again, once you go live, you cannot change the tiers themselves. You can add new tiers, but once a backer's to it, you can't delete a tier. So it adds a lot of complexity to it where if he had messed something up, you know, it's understandable. While it doesn't hurt to take those things as a potential warning, in a situation like this where you have a successful creator who's created, you know, 20 plus campaigns that have funded and fulfilled, you can take that with a grain of salt. This theme, I think, ties in with his previous decks, and he is limiting it to 100 decks. I'm not a fan of the the clear plastic case, though. I think that's the one area this falls short for me, because it is kind of a cool comic book-esque vibe to it.
So there's definitely, so there's different decks, okay, right?
Yeah.
I think one of them, because this is the linen one. Weren't we talking about this last time? I think we were last week. We talked about this. So there's 100.
There's one plastic
linen
one,
decks.
yeah, which only but they're limited as well. Actually, this is 100 decks limited total. There's 60 linen decks.
What's that? 50 of
There's
what?
70 linen decks and 60 plastic decks.
Weird.
Yeah. So, and again, this falls into that whole Make 100 campaign that Kickstarter does, which sometimes gets to be a little more complex. I also think this is more of a cult following deck, more so than a part of the playing card community inspired deck. You know, obviously, Tim designs decks. He's a part of the playing card community, but he's not designing decks necessarily for the playing card community. He's designing them for his following. Nothing wrong with that. We see that a lot. I've been really getting like interested in dice recently, so it's always funny to see how people do dice, and not for like me buying dice. I just like translucent, shiny looking things, so it's cool. Rigid custom box add-on, interesting. Cool extras. What's the price point on this? Linen. Yeah, it's a lot. $24 ship for a deck of cards, and again, it's because of the quantity that's being printed. But like, unless you love this artwork, that's an expensive deck of cards. Like, it's cool that it's.
I mean, it would be better to if the ability to buy this was wider. If more people wanted to get it, the deck would be a lot cheaper. More people could get it and enjoy it.
But then you fall outside of the 100.
With this artwork, a lot of people would be down for this artwork. Especially like the superhero. Look and feel. I think I love superheroes, so yeah. I think it would definitely appeal to a lot more people if the ability was there and the cost was lower.
Well, and I think, again, though, you fall then outside of the Make 100 aspect, which gives you a little bit of added visibility to the campaign. So Make 100 was a strategic decision on Tim's part, and I understand why he did it, but I agree, had he gone with a larger print run, obviously cost per deck could have gone down significantly. The other thing I'll point out here, too, is with the stretch goals. I think stretch goals, again, are a motivation for people to back higher tiers or share with other people to get to those stretch goals. I think it's crucial to have at least some stretch goals ready to go when you go live. Not to say you need them all figured out, but you got to have something there to tease people. Having coming soon here, it's so easy to forget about this unless he's going to roll out in a couple days, and by then you're in your plateau period. You want people already geared up for that plateau to know they want to push. So I think having some stretch goals from the jump is crucial.
Yeah, I agree.
Tim, you've done a lot of campaigns. I have no doubt you'll manage. Yeah, look at that. You've already almost tripled your funding goal, so you've already funded there. Good luck with the continuation on it, man. I think I like your artwork. It's definitely a fun comic kind of cartoon vibe to it. Next up, we have unique playing cards. The show must go on. Check it out. Interesting back design. Pretty significant. Yeah. Pretty significant push towards their goal already for a somewhat, reasonable goal, but a lot of a disconnect between the backers versus the funding itself there, which is a little surprising. Hello, friends. The internal dualism of life and death companies, us reminding us that no one is eternal, so the idea of the deck, the show must go on, was born. So, okay, a lot of famous musicians brought into the deck. With the theme of life and death by making a unique deck of playing cards that you will desire. So I think with this in mind and looking at the fact that there's custom pips and courts and everything and indices here, I'd want to see a lot more of the deck. Okay, so here we go, yeah. I'd almost like to see this a little earlier on because I feel like you're showing me the tuck box first. I'm more concerned about the cards than the tuck box because we can see it here. Original autographs of our heroes and leave a mark on your playing cards. Interesting. Interesting concept.
What's that? Is that a plate?
It looks like just something of signature of Whitney Houston. So
interesting.
So there's signatures of all the artists on the cards, of all the musicians on the cards. It's kind kind of a morbid deck. I'll be candid about that. But it's an interesting concept, and I like the story underlying it. The fact that, you know, we all are here for a limited amount of time. You know,
You need rights to something like this?
probably not. I mean, they're just sketches. They're not actual photographs or anything like that. So there's no real copyright or trademark you'd be infringing upon here. Their likenesses. It depends on whether or not, you know, there's any protection for the likenesses of the people. I mean, I'm not really familiar. There'd probably be some legal advice that would be necessary there, which I am not giving. So,
Printed by Cardamundi.
yep, nice. Great use of the Cardamundi logo. I feel like this is a little buried, though, to be honest.
Yeah, the order of everything is a little skewed, but
yeah, I like the inclusion of a timeline. Always great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you didn't show enough of the deck itself. As much as there's like a visibility of the deck, just the layout and the order felt very strange. It didn't tell a cohesive story to me. It kind of almost reminds me a little bit of thematically of the Pop Stars deck from Riffle Shuffle. Like, obviously it's a little darker, but like that same kind of like all of your favorite, you know, musicians in a deck of cards kind of vibe to it. I dig the Ace of Spades and the Ace of Clubs, really tying it in with that music there. Where we at price point wise? One deck of cards.
Wow.
Yeah.
$28.
So that's shipping.
I feel like a lot of these custom, like random decks are so expensive.
And $14 shipped to the US. It's a $14 deck. I mean, this would be a $19 deck normally. And I think that would be reasonable. It's an art deck. You know, I get that. That's fine. $14 shipping is crazy. I think this is a great example of when you need to reach out to a fulfillment company within your location that you're trying to ship to so that you can bring that down significantly. Because if you go with someone who is a fulfillment company, your shipping cost is going to be closer to that $5, $6 mark, which significantly changes the dynamic of that deck purchase there.
I mean, let's be honest. You could do self-fulfillment and it's going to be down around the same cost.
It depends, though, where they're at, though. These people... That's making an assumption that they're based in the U.S. They could be based somewhere else.
It says right there. It says Boston, Mass.
This doesn't necessarily mean they're based in the U.S. either, being that creators from around the world do kick off Kickstarters. But yeah, there's no way this is a $14 shipping if you're in the U.S. You could do this for $5. There's so many inexpensive shipping companies out there. You know, even assuming that this is going to be truly out of Massachusetts, that's a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
So,
you could ship a brick for less than that.
That's the crazy thing about it. Like, definitely something to consider. And I think this goes to a topic we were discussing a little bit earlier today, is the fact that a lot of campaigns come out of the gate with their first draft without really considering a lot of these finer points before they should go live, you know? And a lot of this stuff, like your shipping, it's really easy to go look on Kickstarter and see what shipping is for other comparable campaigns and realize that $14 is not the norm. The norm is $5 to $6 within the continental US. Like, how do you get it down there? It raises questions for you. Okay, how are other people getting it down there? Where can I use to get my costs down? These are all things you should be asking yourself from the jump, especially because this deck, I think from an artistic point of view and for people who like music, has a lot of potential. I think it probably needs maybe a little bit of a redesign on the back just because it's a little kind of plain or minimalist, maybe is the better word. But I think with so much
one-way back design too.
Yeah.
Is it?
No, it's a two-way back design.
Go down.
Oh no, it is a one-way back design with the border. So yeah, I mean it's an interesting concept with it there. But I do think, you know, the deck itself has potential. That shipping cost is going to kill it, though. That's a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
So the other thing, and we can touch on this here. The other thing is, too, between the amount of backers, you don't really have any price points that totally come up to, like, where your actual, like, funding is at. I guess maybe here. So this actually jumps out to me as someone who just doesn't exist in the playing card community, because a 10 deck tier doesn't make sense. You'd actually go from a 6 to a brick. There's no half brick or brick tiers on these. These are all things to consider when you're coming into a playing card Kickstarter, or in general, any Kickstarter. If you're entering into a new niche market that you've never dealt with before, you want to do as much research as possible into what the norms are. What are the standards? What's going to make your campaign fit in but stand out? You want to make sure that you're not doing things like, hey, having a 5-deck tier when it doesn't make sense to have a 5-deck tier. You want to have a 6 or a 12 because people want brick boxes. Those brick boxes also help with consolidating what you're going to be shipping. Now, if you're shipping someone 10 decks, you can't use a brick box that these are going to naturally come in when they get delivered from Cardamundi. So things to consider there for sure. Yeah, like the price point gets more reasonable once you get up to the 10 brick. It becomes $14.80 a deck, but still, like, that shipping on those lower tiers is problematic. Definitely something to consider. So good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. Next up, we have...
What's going on, Tyler?
The Wonder playing cards. So for anyone who caught our live on Sunday, we actually went through this campaign in extreme detail. We're going to link to that up in the top right corner of the screen right now. You should be seeing that. So make sure to check that out there. We're not even going to touch on the Wonder playing cards, but thank you so much for, checking this one out, and good luck to you guys on this campaign. Pure Imagination Projects obviously is a well-known name within the community, so definitely make sure to check out our live that we did on Sunday. Next up, we have the RWY deck. I feel like we've seen this deck previously as well. Let's see here. So it may not have funded previously.
I think it was the US edition. This is the international.
Very cool. Very cool. I like to see that they're bringing kind of a second edition to it. I think that's awesome. Very close to their funding goal, which I think is great. Playing cards for pilots, AV geeks, and world travelers, featuring 52 international airports from around the world. Very interesting concept there. I'm a big fan of courts that have people on it, and I know that's a big sticking point for a lot of people within the community. So something to consider when you do a deck like this is, are non-people courts going to have an impact on who's backing your campaign? Always something to consider.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole purpose of this deck is not to play it, maybe on a plane or something like that, or on a train or something like that. But I think the focus is definitely the airports.
Great layout for showing off the cards too, I have to say. I think this looks perfect. I really dig it. I like how clean it is. I like how well it flows. Talks about the process. Okay, plastic cardstock. So yeah, meant for durability. Each card. So my question there then is, who's going to be printing the deck? Here we go. Manufacturing and fulfillment.
Print Ninja.
Print Ninja. I am not familiar with Print Ninja. Anyone who's familiar...
Is that a Zazzle?
It could be a Zazzle deck. And that's the thing. Like, yeah, anyone who's familiar with Print Ninja, drop a comment down below. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
And also make sure to stick around to the end of the video to find out which decks this week Steve and I will be backing. But I think it's interesting to see when people use these kind of print-to-order companies. And I wonder if it's out of convenience or price point, or just not realizing that they can do things like this through more established companies like MakePlayingCards.com. Yeah, cool. Again, I don't know what Print Ninja cards feel like. Being plastic stock, we've seen great plastic stock. We've seen terrible plastic stock. Hopefully these cards handle well, because it's not fun shuffling cards that just feel like junk in your hands. I don't know how these feel. Yeah. So anyone out there who knows Print Ninja, definitely let us know what you think of the quality down below.
Yeah. What are we looking at for price?
Price point, oof. $24 for a deck of cards. So I think the interesting thing about this niche that they're trying to hit here with the travel segment is travel items are usually inexpensive and disposable. Obviously, that's not something you want to encourage, but it is a mindset that goes along with travel. And I think, you go to one of those stores in the airport because you forgot your phone charger, you forgot this or that. Everything is dirt cheap because it's lower quality or disposable quality, because it's meant to be just picked up on the fly because you forgot something, or like travel size deodorant, things like that. For this to really tie in with the niche, I think a price point of like $16 shipped would have been the max. You know, I think this is a $10 deck. So
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean they're close to funding, obviously. So the people who are into it, it could possibly double, if that price point was lower.
yeah. Well, and what's interesting too is you'll notice that most people are not backing the single deck. Most people back the early bird, which would have
Yeah,
been, yeah, most people back the early bird, which was $5 cheaper, so $19 shipped,
yeah,
or they're backing the multiples where it's bringing it down to 17 shipped.
$17 shipped. Yeah,
So that 24 price point is really holding you up on that single tier. And a lot of
yeah,
times those single deck tiers are where you're going to get the biggest backer. So while, yes, this is
yeah,
close to backing, you may actually be hindering how much you can back because of that. Something to consider
totally.
there, bringing down that single price point. If you can do $17 shipped, I mean, to me, even the $19 shipped for the early bird seems excessive now. Like, I feel like you probably could have
Yeah,
done like a $14 shipped early bird to really drive it home. And then like $19 standard on the single deck, which would have been comparable for going to the second tier. And you would have seen a lot more people go for that single tier, I think.
yeah.
Some,
I mean, 164 backers, 75 of them was that early bird
yeah,
single deck.
exactly. So,
So,
half of your backers would have been on a single deck as well. It's an interesting, discussion. I think something for maybe another time to talk about. Maybe we do a live on that because there's such an interesting
yeah,
kind of idea of what matters more, the total numbers sold or the total backers. And I think it's a healthy mix of both. But
yeah,
I think that's something to consider on this campaign is maybe that $24 price point shipped is a little high for the single deck and it's showing in the backer number. So good luck, though. I
yeah.
like the deck. I like how clean the campaign is. I think, honestly, the layout of it's gorgeous. So nicely done. Next up, we have the Sigismund custom playing cards. Unique illustrations and design from the Forgotten Kingdom, printed by USPCC.
Nice.
So we do see a higher goal here for a single deck. Kind of leads us into thinking there's either going to be foil or things like that on the deck, embossing, all that fun stuff. We'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
This design of the see, I love already you're coming into it about the deck. He's got a good story to it. Sigismund was the name of 3 kings who reigned in that kingdom. Awesome. Like playing cards and are fascinated with them and collecting them. I'd like to invite you to be part of the special. Very cool. So tying in with the people, there's a good connection there. Yeah, I think this is so far nicely laid out. Nicely done renders. Shows a lot of how much the custom work's going into it. Shows off a little bit of the back design based on the tuck. I'm making an assumption that's the back design, but I'd hope it is. Talks about the artwork a little bit. Here's the back design. Okay.
Back design. That's cool.
Yeah, that really does look nice. So the one thing I will say too, and
Yeah.
about this, and this is always something that I think with renders you have to be careful of, making it look like foil when it's not foil.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's hard to do. There definitely is metallic inks that with it when they hit light they kind of look like that. But at first glance, the first thing I think of is definitely foil.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of rendering needs to take into account. I mean, listen, I think this is a great looking render, but knowing it's printed by USPCCA, I can already tell you this isn't going to be foil on the back because you have multiple colors there.
Yep.
So it's either Metalux and
Right.
monochrome or Cardamondi and multiple colors. But that's just a nitpick on the render. I think the render actually shows off the back design and the tuck design very well.
Yep.
The one thing I
dig that back design. It's cool.
The one thing I do notice about the tuck design, though, is it doesn't look like there's any embossing there, and maybe that's just tough to show in a render. I'm curious once we get down to talk about the tuck, what's actually going to be there. So,
Right.
ports look fun. They really have a lot of interesting thought to them. I'm curious about the line through it, just because I can see there's text on it, but I can't actually read it, and I'm wondering if it's it looks like it may be the name of the people, which is cool.
Yeah.
Arts diamond perfectly laid out for all of them as well. Shows you all the suits, everything you need to see there.
There you go. There's a good kind of idea of what the back design looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, see, this is a little more matte and more true to the
Yeah.
metallic gold. That metallic gold, it's funny because it doesn't have it has a little bit of a shimmer to it, but it's always kind of a darker gold. We actually had a great discussion the other day, and this came up just randomly. Metallic gold and metallic silver, and Steve pointed this out, and I 100% agree, reminds me of like what you see on scratch-off lottery tickets. Metallic silver looks dead on like the scratch-off silver on the lottery tickets, and if they had a gold version of that, it would be perfect. You know, that's really kind of what it looks like in that kind of like satiny shimmer look to it, more so than like a shine that a foil has. Tuck box, image on the front of the tuck is based on European heraldry, surrounded by a unique early Baroque ornamental design which covers most of the box. Very cool. Will be embossed.
Will be
See
embossed with
information
stretch
below.
gold.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that embossing is just tough to show in a render in a way that actually flatters the design. So I can see why they would mention that. See below. See information below. Okay. So the one thing I would say then there is if you're going to have information about the embossing for the tuck box, it should be in the tuck box section. I would expect it to be somewhere here or between some of these pictures, but we're getting into the aces now, and I feel like where's the information that you said would be below? Something to consider, again, the cohesiveness and the flow of the campaign. I dig
that ace of spades, kind of cool.
I dig it as well. I actually really like the old style of the clubs as well. This is the second deck we've seen recently that has this style club, and I really like it. I do wish, though, again, this is an opportunity where they could have done really stylized big central pips across all the aces, and I think this would have been a perfect deck for it. The other thing I see on the render here, and I'll just say real quick, because it is 2021 now. Don't know if you want to throw a 2020 on there or a 2021. Small detail, but sometimes those small details are easy to overlook, and that's the only reason I mention it. I don't think it has any impact either way otherwise. I like that the history is here.
Nice little information.
The building of the story on this and really giving the full background has been phenomenal. The interesting thing about this, though, is it's become kind of a duplication of what we saw up here.
Too much.
Yeah. This would have been a good opportunity to kind of take it, and instead of doing it based on kings, queens, jacks, aces, doing it by suit up here, and it would have broken up the images a little bit and consolidated a little bit as well. Again, usually it doesn't hurt to have too much.
Take those images down below and throw them up top.
Well, yeah, either keep
like that right there. Just take those, put those up.
Well, and again, though, they're two different things, though, because it's kings versus suits. So it depends on how you want to do it. You can either stick with suits or you can stick with courts. You know, but I wouldn't do both. I think we're both in agreement. You wouldn't want to do both. I'm down for either direction. I think, you know, doing it by 4 kings or doing it by suits is fine, especially if, and this is, I think, actually where it may make some difference. If all of your spades share the same lineage because this is historical figures, then I would say present them by their suits because you're telling a cohesive story. If the king of spades and the queen of spades and the jack of spades have no connection, then it doesn't really make that much of a difference, and going by base card makes more sense there.
Yeah, and I also don't think you need to add that additional image right there.
Yeah, it's a little...
I think it's just extra images that you don't need. It just drags out the campaign.
Yeah. Jokers.
Cool jokers.
Yeah, interesting style jokers. I dig them.
Creepy.
Yeah, I dig them, though. I dig them a lot. Pips and number cards. Looks nice. I'm still waiting to see this information on the embossing, though. That's the one... And I like the progression there.
Yeah.
Like, again, a lot of pictures here that are kind of just...
Yeah, they're just not needed. You already, you know, once you get the images out of the way and you nail the you know, that's kind of cool.
I dig the close-ups.
Like you said, but other than that, all these images right here in this section, you know, with maybe a couple of them, but
they bury your information. This should also be duplicated up top. I think this is super valuable. Premium quality paper, 300 GSM. I'd switch that out for the actual stock name, so something like standard or premium, just because it's a little more recognizable. Not everyone is going to know whether 300 GSM is standard or premium stock, so it's worthwhile to know there. Metallic inks on the card and the tuck box, so it's not foil on the tuck box either, which is interesting.
And here's the down below information that you were looking for. I think that little image right there.
This right here? This guy?
Another one right there.
Oh,
Features. Yeah, I think that's the image
I
check
hope
down
not.
below.
I hope not. They're achieving over 200 yen back. Okay, okay. Okay, so there is a stretch goal for gold foil on the back.
Foil.
And it's okay, this is the information down below. Embossing is also a stretch goal. The concern then becomes, are you actually going to be able to do the stretch goal through USPCC? Because I don't know if this is a Metalux compliant design. And I don't believe it is. So with that in mind, the Metalux, or not, yeah, Metalux is something you're going to want to consider here, or are you going to shift printers to Cardamundi in order to keep that really rich blue background with the gold foil? I would highly suggest going that route versus compromising and getting rid of the second color to do all gold on a white background. My opinion on that. But I would be curious to hear about whether or not the foil version is still going to go through USPCC or what that's actually going to look like, knowing that USPCC has limitations on their Metalux.
Yeah, but I mean, they can print 2 colors with foil.
They won't do it, though.
I mean, they did Chris Ramsey's.
Yeah, and him and the Gold Artisans are the only 2 they've ever done. At least in mass production. You look at all the Metalux for David Blaine, monochromatic. You look at their own, monochromatic. So while they say there's the possibility there, they don't do it frequently, and there may in fact be limitations on print run even for it. We're not sure.
I mean, it could be web press only.
Could be.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that could go into that we're not sure of there, but that is something to consider because most times Metalux is only going to do monochromatic.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, let's see where we're at price point wise. One deck is so
a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. For something that's come
that's $11 shipping right there.
Yeah, and like I'm trying to figure this out now.
Who's doing fulfillment?
That's what I'm running back to see. I don't know.
I don't think it said.
Yeah, so who's going to be fulfilling? If you're self-fulfilling, mention it, but that is painful shipping price. And like all things considered, this is a great price point for a deck. This is an amazing $14 deck. An amazing $14 deck. But you kill it with that price point there. That 25 shipped is hard. This should be 19 shipped if you go through someone, local to the US who would be able to help with your fulfillment at $5 a deck. So definitely something to consider there because, I mean, you're looking at still $21 a deck for 2, which is still over where I want it to be ultimately, when in reality it could be 32. You'd save almost $10 on that 2-deck option.
Yeah.
So this is where fulfillment is a must determine. Obviously, for certain people, if you're based in the U.S. and you can do cheap U.S. shipping, like that's great. Self-fulfillment's a feasibility. If you're external to the U.S., it's super important to consider that having a U.S. partner for fulfillment could save you a ton of money and drive more momentum for your campaign. Not to say that it's going to make it so your campaign doesn't fund, but it could limit the amount beyond your funding goal that you actually hit. Something to consider. So...
yeah.
Otherwise,
what's that? What's the 1 deck price again?
$14.
Yeah.
25 shipped.
Yeah.
So the other thing I will also say here, and this is a sticking point for me, uncut sheets should be an add-on, not a tier. The reason being, you're now causing someone to have to add on a deck instead of adding on an extra, like an uncut sheet. You want to make sure that anytime someone backs your campaign, it is for a deck of cards or multiple deck of cards with add-ons such as coins, uncut sheets, cloths, cases, pins, whatever it may be, as additional items they can add onto a deck. You always want someone buying a deck. That's what you're selling. Something to consider there. I would definitely make an uncut sheet and add-on, not a tier itself. So also the other thing I would say is needed here is the add-on discussion. Having add-ons is crucial to this. It's because you do want to offer an uncut. Maybe that's your only add-on. But what happens if someone wants to buy, a brick plus 2 decks? You've now limited them You know, something to consider. You want to make it as easy as possible for people to buy as much as possible. So what I would say is having add-ons of single decks or multiple decks is also something you want to do. So otherwise, I think this was a well put together campaign. Yeah, so good luck. Next up, we have Crossed Keys Society Playing Cards Collection. Let's check it out.
Mr. Cup.
All right. So the Crossed Keys Society is a collection of 6 playing card decks inspired by Europe's grandest and greatest historic hotels. Cool. I like the story. I like the idea behind it. About the society. Rolls right into a story. Inspired by Wes Anderson, Grand Budapest Hotel movie, a secret association of hotels to serve good causes. That's cool. Tuck box is misspelled there. This is an area where, again, you just want to make sure that you have a second set of eyes on all your stuff that you're doing. That's an easy oversight there. Not a big deal, but like when people are scrutinizing it, it's easy to stand. Not exactly sure what a tuck box is versus a tuck box. You know, you want to make sure that you have all those things lined up.
What do you mean you don't know what a tuck box is? Come on, dude.
Well, it almost looks like a jukebox.
It does. That's the jukeboxes, bro.
Yeah, I know. I was like, all right, cool. So I like the fact that this is going to be part of a series. Is it part of a series or is it? Oh no. So it's part of a series, but they're all one release. So this is an interesting concept because you end up putting a lot of pressure on yourself to fund out 6 decks in a single sitting versus 6 decks over time. I personally am a firm believer that 1 deck at a time in a series probably builds better campaigns because you can pick up new backers as it goes who will then want the earlier ones, and it helps you actually move excess after the fact. Something always to consider versus dropping an entire series in one shot. Plus, printing 6 decks and getting it all fulfilled is a headache, no matter how good you are at this. Perfect example, look at the butterfly playing cards from Andres. Those were all, from Andres' campaign, they were all the same deck, different variations, and there were so many hiccups because of all the differences between those decks. Not to say he should have rolled them all out as one because they were the same deck, but had they all come out as one, who knows if they would have come out sooner. That's something to always consider, especially in this one when these would make 6 perfect campaigns.
Yeah, I like to see if they're different decks. Just because that, having 6 decks, that's a lot to have 6 different decks.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you see multiple decks like this, most of the card, fronts are all the same, and they may have just a different color.
We'll have to see when we get through into it. Let's check.
Like that.
So it looks like there is a discussion of the cards here. It talks about the face cards. So it does look like it could be all the same fronts, at least from what we're seeing so far. We haven't actually seen... So this is the other thing. I don't see a back design.
Right. Yeah.
So...
I don't see it. Yeah. There's no back design. There's no...
So yeah,
Go up?
This is something that I'll always throw out there. Having a campaign launched means you're ready to go. While I think that it's important to, and I know with historical campaigns, actually, Mr. Cup has involved the community in the design of the card itself, and that's all well and good, but at least having some sketches up there if this is a proposed back design or putting in the story that you're going to be designing the back design with the backers is crucial because right now it just looks incomplete. And I think that's a big thing, especially... Yeah,
I don't know what I'm buying.
Exactly. And I think for all of the effort that clearly went into building this campaign, it's important to have it look as complete as possible. I think that also resonates. The question is still there. Is it one back design and 6 different tucks? Is it 6 different back designs? Is it, what are you actually buying here? And then if that's the case, which one do I get? So you have the #1 Crossed Key Society deck, which $21 shipped based on this.
$25 shipped.
But geez, yeah, €21, $25 shipped. That's a lot. You're starting to get into gilded deck territory on the low end there. I know Mr. Cup does phenomenal tucks with the letterpress and everything, but it doesn't really talk about whether this is going to be embossed. Foil, there we go, here we go. Right there, each box will be letterpress printed with 3 hot foil prints, gold, white, and blind. Some parts of each box will be embossed. All right. Still, to me, that's like maybe a $21 shipped high end, unless you're getting into metallic inks and foil on the cards. Like, that's a tough one. The other thing I didn't notice here is who's going to be printing the cards.
Yeah, doesn't say.
Yeah, like a lot of. Again, I think these decks look awesome. The tuck
There's
boxes.
actually 20. There's 25 updates. If you look, it looks like there's a
25
lot of
comments.
questions.
There's one update.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
25 comments. So I'm sure there's a lot of questions about it.
And I think that says a lot. I think if you have that many questions out of the gate, those are things that should have been included in the campaign. While that's not the end of the world as a first-time creator, it makes a lot of sense that you're going to have follow-up questions. But Mr. Cup is also a known entity throughout the community. I think it's important to take past experience and roll it into these new campaigns. Be as transparent as you possibly can with these decks. It's important. Yeah. People want to know what they're backing. Like I think these tucks look amazing. I would love to see what the cards actually look like inside it, because I think to me that's what's gonna decide whether or not I back this or not. I think that price point.
I mean, I think a lot of that could go up all the way. Yeah, 208 backers. I mean, this could be something that has 400 backers
easily.
If all that information was there, yeah.
And that, and then again, the price point I think is a little bit of a hindrance there as well, because at that point I want to see foil on the card backs. At $25 a deck shipped, I want to see at least foil on the card backs. It doesn't have to be gilded. Doesn't have to be foil on both sides.
For sure.
But you're now in that territory. And I think part of it may be shipping. And if that's the case, like, again, U.S. fulfillment partner may not hurt there. It may actually help lower the price point down. But at $19 retail a deck, are they monochromatic back designs? Are they metallic inks? Like, there's a lot of open questions there as to what you're getting that I think need to be answered in order to make this as highly successful as possible.
How much is the higher end tiers? Like 6 decks. What do we have?
Half bricks, 6 deck, $94.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do save a decent amount.
That's just one deck.
Yeah.
So that's just the one deck. You can't get... Oh, there's the 6 deck collection. There it is right there. How much is that one? $91.
Yeah.
105 shipped.
106 shipped, yeah. So,
106.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of open questions to this, and I think it's important that they be addressed by the creator at the time of launch. That's the most important part, because honestly, running a campaign is a lot of work. Don't add extra work to your campaign by not having the information people want to know out there. It's super important.
Right.
I mean, again, like, who's printing the cards?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a crucial component to this. They look awesome. But like for me, I want.
Yeah, I mean, he does amazing work. That's for sure. You know, just need more information to even make a decision for me.
Yeah, and I think for me,
good luck.
Yeah, no, good luck. I think there's just a bit missing, but good luck, Mr. Cup. Somehow we have 2 here. Here we go. Next up, we have the Anatomica playing cards from Curio Playing Cards. All right, Anatomica playing cards. Welcome to Anatomica playing cards, where fantasy and anatomy collide. The goal with this project is to take a deck of playing cards and blend those components with aspects of anatomy. So the one thing I would say off the bat, subtitle, probably that would have been a great spot to just throw printed by, fulfilled by, just because you have the space there. I dig the tagline, anatomy altered. Utilize it fully though, throw 2 slashes to create a little division, fulfilled by, printed by, gets the information out there and on the search page, which I think is important. But you have it right from the jump here. Printed by USPCC, classic finish, tuck box printed with 2 foils, all the information there. Printed by Cardamundi for the limited edition. All very interested. I'd be curious to know what the print run would be for the USPCC standard ones, but otherwise the information looks good there.
Yeah.
Let's check out the tuck.
It's probably an open printed run, depending on how many they sell.
Yeah, very well could be. And if that's the case, like, cool. But if you do have a limited print run in mind, like, it's always worth putting there. I dig the back. I dig the tuck design. I dig the back design. And I like that the aces have full size central pips across, and they're dope looking. It's almost it's interesting because, like, I know it's not meant to be a horror deck, but it almost has like a horror deck vibe to it. Like, it's so cool.
I love the court cards. I think the court cards are great.
You know, they look really, really cool. Number cards looks good. I like the creative pips.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and see how you don't have to go into every single number card?
Yeah.
There's literally 4 number cards there. Boom, you get the idea.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. Dope Jokers. Perfect Fulfillment, Brothership, and Jokyu, depending on where you're located. I would say also maybe duplicating that a little bit farther up, not necessarily with the logos, but just textual up top would be helpful as well, like right under where you break out the cards. Yeah. I dig the add-ons.
Interesting.
Yeah. Photoshop renders final product could differ. About us, nice little about us section, a thank you section. Very cool. Fresh impressions, perfect use of the logos there.
Yep. Nice.
Nice, very nice. And we're looking at price point wise, 21 shipped. So again,
a little on the high end for me. I'd like to see about 19.
Yeah, I think 19
18,
would be like the push point for me because again, at least on the standard, because you don't have, there's no foil, no metallic ink, nothing like that. It's a relatively flat tuck box. Yeah.
Go up for that tuck box overview printing, tuck box printed 2 foils. Yeah, it's 2 foils.
Yeah, so I guess that kind of pushes it a little bit into that price point. That for me though, that's still 2021 is the max on it.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see 19. That price sounds better to me for just a foil tuck box.
What are we at? The limited 30 shipped, and this is going to be embossing cold foil on the tuck.
Backs and faces.
And backs and faces, yeah, which, again, that price point.
That's a full foil.
Yeah,
full foil.
Yeah, which is nice, and that's a reasonable price point for the limited. Honestly, that limited is a nice looking deck, too, and I like the contrasting back colors for the tuck versus, the paired tucks there. Very cool. Now, this looks good. Like I said, I think the only minimal thing there would be a little bit lower on the main price point for the single deck and then bringing the fulfillment information, at least textually, up to the top just so it's a little more noticeable. But otherwise, this campaign looks like fire. Nicely done. Curio. Good luck, Jamie, man.
He's close.
Yeah, real close.
Close. Good luck.
Very nicely done. Next up, we have the Era of Legends, a set of 54 illustrated game cards. Right. Made in France.
Yeah, the gold tells me it's not being printed.
Made in France. Yeah. I'm not sure who would be printing out of France, but I'm always curious. So if anyone knows of some French card printers, definitely drop those in the comments below.
Also, they look like tarot style.
Yeah, they look larger or bridge style, maybe even. Like skinny.
Yeah, and then they look a little longer than bridge. Looks like a funky tarot.
That also could just be the render being off. I don't know, though.
Right.
Interesting. Again, I think a little more information there. Who's going to be fulfilling, who's actually printing, what the size of the cards are, whether they're bridge or poker is important in this one, or tarot even, because they look different. There's not actually a ton of information here. There's a lot of pictures. There's a little bit of detail, but a little more detail would be crucial, I think, to getting this more just out there for more transparency and for more backers.
Again, the t-shirt tier, have that as an add-on.
$35 for a deck of cards.
Yeah.
Like this should be a $19, $20 deck max.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the tarot world, and to me it looks like it's
tarot format. Yeah, tarot format.
Right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Interesting.
So yeah, I don't know if that's more expensive to print tarot sized or anything like that. But definitely put all that information in there, like who's printing it, who's fulfilling it.
Yeah. And make honestly, I think a lot of the information just gets lost in the imagery. Something to consider is that you need to make the information stand out more, because maybe it is all there. It's just it's getting buried, and that's not what you want to do. I think the visuals are great on this, but make it a little bit bigger with the information. So good.
Yeah, there's just so much going on with the images that you get lost.
Yeah. Well, hey, good luck. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's it.
What are you backing this week, Steve?
I I would back the Compass playing cards. And that's about it, bro.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I dig the Anatomica. I think it's done well, but it's not my style. And the cross key is. I'd like to see the decks
Yeah.
before
Yeah,
I
a little up in
back
the
them.
air.
But for me, I'm just gonna go with the Compass this week.
So I think on my end, I'm on board with you on the Compass. I would also back the Sigismund, though I wish the shipping was a little lower because that really kills it for me.
Yeah.
Cross keys is just still a question mark in my book because I don't know what it looks like, and I think that's the biggest thing. I love Mr. Cup's work. I think he's a phenomenal designer and printer, but I want to see that deck no matter what the cost is. It could be a $3 deck. I'd want to know. Dude,
I'm curious. What's the? I don't mean to go back on this, but I was just curious what the delivery date on that is.
I don't
But
remember it
we don't
being
have to go in.
mentioned.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then, yeah. And then I'd back Anatomica. I dig it. Like I said, I think it's got kind of a inadvertent or maybe, intentional horror vibe to it, which I kind of dig. So,
Yeah.
nicely done.
Hummingbird Feathers mimics the shimmer of a hummingbird in motion. Meticulously created with a specialized printing process using multiple holographic foils. Stunning tuck design and sculpted embossing with master letterpress creation. Featuring limited, standard, and gilded 3-deck sets. Pre-order yours today at marvelousdecks.com.
Well, that was a lot of new decks this week, and I think there's some really great ones out there. Definitely let us know in the comments below, guys, which you would be interested in backing this week. Which ones really stood out to you? Which ones you'd want more information on? And which ones just didn't make the cut? Really appreciate you all checking out this episode of Deckin Around Kickstarter Edition. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Appreciate all of you, and make sure to tune in every Monday when we drop these Kickstarter recaps.
Peace out.